The story behind Abraham-Louis Breguet's invention of the tourbillon isn't just a chapter in history. It's a brilliant testament to the genius of a man whose impact on watchmaking still resonates today. If you're serious about watches, this is a story you simply need to know. Back in the late 1700s, pocket watches were the go-to timepieces, often carried upright in waistcoat pockets. This vertical position over long periods of time, combined with gravity, caused some pretty frustrating inaccuracies in timekeeping. Gravity would pull unevenly on the balance wheel and escapement, making the watch run either fast or slower depending on its position. Breguet, who also had a deep love for physics, was determined to fix this issue. He couldn't change gravity, of course, but he believed he could manage its effects. His idea? If the entire escapement mechanism could rotate, the gravitational inconsistencies would even out over time. This means fewer errors and more precise timekeeping. Being such a revolutionary complication, it didn't just stay in his workshop. He brought it to royal courts, crafting pieces for King George III, King Ferdinand VII of Spain, Princess Romanov of Russia, and many other prominent figures. The tourbillon was, and still is, an engineering marvel, requiring immense precision, and get this, sometimes up to 10 years to make a single piece. Despite the brilliance of the tourbillon, it didn't take off immediately. Why? It was simply too complex and expensive to manufacture. Though it solidified Breguet's place as one of the greatest watchmakers in history, his groundbreaking idea faded over time. But it was never forgotten. The House of Breguet kept the flame alive for nearly 200 years, until in the mid-1980s, the tourbillon made its triumphant return, this time in wristwatches. The ironic twist? The wristwatches weren't nearly as affected by gravity as the old pocket watches. Yet, watch enthusiasts could not resist the allure of this invention, appreciating the craftsmanship and artistry that went into every tourbillon. And here we are today, with over 100 watch brands offering their own versions of the tourbillon. Breguet's legacy, alive and well, might even exceed his wildest dreams. And now, let's get to the heart of why we're here. I have the privilege of introducing not one, but two incredibly rare Breguet tourbillon models, the Breguet Classique Tourbillon Extra Flat 5377 and the Classique Tourbillon Extra Flat Sculette 5395. Trust me, you're going to want to grab a loupe for this. At first glance, the concept of the tourbillon seems straightforward. Rotate the components of the escapement at a consistent speed, completing a full 360-degree rotation every minute. But of course, nothing in watchmaking is ever as easy as it sounds. To achieve this rotation, the balance wheel, hairspring, escapement are mounted within a tiny delicate carriage. The carriage itself, powered by the watch's barrel, needs to rotate. And the genius of Breguet? He figured out how to synchronize the rotation of the carriage with the locking and unlocking of the escapement, so that the carriage completes one full 360-degree rotation every 60 seconds. And here's where it gets really interesting. In a standard watch, the energy from the mainspring barrel powers the balance and escapement, which are fixed in place. But with a tourbillon, that energy has to do double duty, powering both the balance and escapement and rotating the carriage. This means the parts have to be as light as possible. The combined weight of balance, hairspring, escapement, and carriage in Breguet's tourbillons ranges from a mere 29 to 89 hundredths of a gram. Can you imagine the level of craftsmanship involved here? Now, flip these models over and you'll see the intricate, self-winding movements with hundreds of components, 369 in one, 325 in the other. The complexity of these timepieces is astounding from every angle. And let's talk about Breguet's dedication to slim designs. Both models we're looking at have extra flat movements, only 3 millimeters thick. The overall case thickness, a beautiful 7 millimeters for the 5377 and 7.7 millimeters for the 5395. But that's not all. Despite the ultra-thin design and the double-duty power requirements of a tourbillon, these watches pack an impressive 80-hour power reserve. But we're not done yet. There are 3 more Breguet inventions we can appreciate in both of these models. First up, have you heard of Breguet hands? In the late 1700s, most pocket watch hands were overly ornate, making it hard to read the time. Breguet changed that, creating streamlined, elegant hands made of gold or blue steel, described as a hollow apple or a crescent moon, hollowed out in eccentric fashion. The new shape was immediately easier to read and also very attractive. These Breguet hands became iconic, and you can see a modern take on them more than 240 years later in both of these tourbillon models. And of course, As the first major success of his career, Breguet was also behind the revolutionary self-winding movement. Back in 1780, he introduced an oscillating weight that responded to the wearer's movements, a breakthrough that laid the foundation for the automatic movement, which has since become a staple in watchmaking. Lastly, Breguet's innovation in silicon components has been a game changer. Starting in 2006, the brand introduced silicon parts. Why silicon? It's lighter, harder than steel, impervious to magnets, resistant to corrosion, and provides more geometric freedom. The intricate shapes you see in these models' movements are thanks to this amazing material. So there you have it, a glimpse into the extraordinary world of Breguet and the timeless tourbillon. As we admire these incredible pieces today, we're not just looking at watches, we're witnessing the legacy of a man whose genius still shapes watchmaking 2 centuries later. If you are as captivated by these rare Breguet tourbillon models as we are, we warmly invite you to visit us soon at Liljenquist Beckstead in the Tysons Galleria. Here's an opportunity to experience these masterpieces up close while available. And our team would love to help you explore the world of fine Swiss watchmaking. Until next time, and as always, thank you for your love of Swiss watches.